Hi, friends, and welcome back to the Tiffany Joe Baker podcast, where my heart and hope is that you and I continue to get free and live in such a way that we can wholly pursue our God given why. Each bite sized episode will uplift your soul and success through soul care, simple steps, and strategies straight from heaven for your heart hurts, your hellholes, and your healing, enabling you to accomplish all the things God has called and created you to do, step by step and season by season. Hi, y'all, and welcome back to the podcast. I'm excited for this one. Today, we're going to be talking about when you find yourself distracted and disconnected from the ones you love and lead. Y'all know how busy our culture is. If you're old enough like me to remember Burger King's old slogan, it was your way right away. And that is a slogan that I think our culture, it kind of defines our culture right now. It's like this fast paced, easy button, get it done kind of pace. But where has that left all of us? So many of us are showing up numb, showing up disassociating, disconnected, distracted. And that's not at all what Father God wants for us. So I'm really excited for my guest to be here today with me. He is a personal friend. He is a leader, an author. He is the founder of Dominion Leadership Strategies, and he had an experience with God, an encounter with Him over some time that took him to pause and to really reevaluate what is important. He's a high level leadership strategist. Had the pleasure of working with him in a ministry and leadership setting for years. And so he's got so much experience, education, but most of all, he's had an encounter with Jesus that has changed his heart and the way he does business and leads and loves. So I can't wait for you to hear his story and the nuggets on how we too can learn to pause and to be present and what that does for us and others. So, David Stroud, thank you for joining me here today.
It's an absolute pleasure. Thank you, Tiffany. And I love the heart behind what you're doing. You're creating a space for people to get free and live full, and that really, really matters.
Mm.
So it's an honor to be here.
Well, I'm excited to dive in. I know it's been a couple years since we've got to connect again. And
hmm
so you've had this whole experience and this story. I was on social media and I saw you posting about this new message, this new experience you had, and a book that was coming. I was like, oh my goodness, I need to have you on my podcast because I've been on a healing journey and my listeners know, my family's been, and I love bringing people on who've been on a healing journey. And essentially that's what you've been on is a
Yeah.
healing journey that has equipped you to be a better leader because of it. So can you tell us a little bit about your story on how God led you from a high-paced, high-performance position throughout what, 4 decades of leadership
Yeah.
to really slow down, show up in the right spaces so that God could heal your soul and those parts that were struggling. I'd love to
Yeah.
hear whatever you want to
That's
share.
great. Yeah, absolutely. So where I am now, after what you've just mentioned has taken place, is I work with leaders who really are successful on paper, but in real life, they're unavailable. They're
Mhm,
not connected. And most of them don't even realize it, right? They're present, they're providing, they're like doing all of the right things,
mhm,
but this something still feels off. And that's where I was. That's exactly where I was. A lot of people feel tired after resting.
mhm,
They're busy even when there's nothing urgent to be going on. They're surrounded by people but are still alone.
mhm,
All of these things are taking place. And those are all descriptors of me. I mean, I was leading at the highest levels and just still felt like I'm not connected. And
mhm,
so my wake up call didn't come when my kids were little.
Mhm.
It came when my daughter, my youngest daughter, Morgan, wrote me an email. And at this time, she was in her upper teens when she wrote it. And the email, it wasn't like dramatic, it wasn't, accusatory or, any of those kinds of things. It was just a very honest,
Mhm.
authentic perspective that she presented. And this
Mhm.
was really my wake up call. She said, Dad, you're here, but you're not here.
Mhm.
And I thought, oh my goodness, this is like I thought I was doing everything right. I mean, I was leading, I was producing, working hard, providing for the family, doing all of those things. Thought I was doing exactly what was required of a good leader of a home, a good leader in business, etc. But the honest fact was I was totally distracted. I was rushed, and mentally I was somewhere else.
Mhm.
And that email helped awaken me. When I was at home, I was thinking about I need to be closing a
Yep.
deal. I need to be doing this at work. I need to be meeting with these people, these objectives, those kinds of things.
Mhm.
And then when I was at work, I was thinking about how I need to be with my family. But what I found was I was never really anywhere,
Yeah.
totally disconnected. And so, as I look back and think on that email, it's like it wasn't it wasn't accusing me of something. It was actually revealing me to myself. And I'm so appreciative of my daughter in doing that.
Mhm.
And I think back on that, and I'm so saddened because I have four children, and my youngest is the one that spoke up. That means all four of them were experiencing all of this. It would have been better if my oldest would have said something earlier, and then I could have maybe adjusted and impacted all positively. But the bottom line was I realized that I wasn't unavailable simply because I didn't care. I just I was busy,
Yeah.
and busyness became the thought. So equating busyness with productivity, with
Mhm.
production, with climbing those ladders that we
Yeah.
need to, we sometimes believe we need to do. And I just totally confused busyness with being effective as a
Mhm.
leader. And so I don't know, that
Mhm.
that was a major turning point in me because
Yeah.
I realized, the issue wasn't my effort, it wasn't the productivity, it wasn't any of that. It was my understanding of availability.
Mhm.
And so I have recently written a book called Your Greatest Ability is Availability. In essence, it's our superpower if we realize how to learn and leverage and use that and be fully present when with the people that we're with.
Yeah. Yeah. Amazing. Good job, Morgan. Good
Yeah.
job. But you also created a space for her to feel like she could be honest.
Yeah.
So that is beautiful in and of itself because and you stopped and listened. You let
Hmm.
it hit. So there was a part of you that was still available, was still listening. Even if it was a smaller part than you would wanted it to be,
Right.
that was still like that hit somewhere deep within us, when
Yeah.
I love that. It's like you're here, but you're not here. And I think all of us listening, that resonates to some degree because there's places and spaces of us where we're there, but we're not there.
Yeah. Well, we're physically present,
Yes,
but maybe not emotionally present. We're not
absolutely.
truly connecting with those in the
Yeah.
room.
And that can happen even doing your devotionals with the Lord. Like you can be reading the Bible or you can be praying, but you're not fully connected. You're not fully available to what God wants to show or do. You're just checking off your list.
Yeah.
You can be on a date, you can be on a date with your spouse and be there, but not fully be there. So it's
Right.
it's something that transcends any space we're in, and it can be used in any relationship where you can feel like, I think too, I think so what are some of the reasons why we stay distracted or disconnected, keeping us from being fully there? You mentioned busyness. Is there anything else that you
Mhm.
would say that maybe keeps us from fully showing up and being present or being available, not just busyness.
Yeah, I think that we fall in the trap of um, I mean, I don't know a better word than business, but it's the
Hmm.
hustle and the
The
bustle.
hustle.
It's just the world. And
Yeah.
we get pulled
The
into
system. Hmm.
social media. We get pulled
Yeah.
into high expectations where we work. We get pulled into activities
Hmm.
with the kids. We get pulled into all of these things. But if we don't step back and say, okay, how can I be fully present with God, with
Hmm.
myself, and the people that are right in front of me in the moment and being there for the moment, right?
Hmm.
And it's not about having more time.
Yeah.
It really isn't. It's about giving your attention to what's in front of you. In essence, what matters most to you.
Hmm.
So you've got to stop to become available. You've got to stop rushing around. It's
Hmm.
one of the things. And when you're busy, you actually begin to numb yourself to things that are the most important, right? You use that word in your introduction, numbing. I'm going, oh my goodness, that is so in alignment with what I am with what I'm teaching in my message. And we've got to just actually allow ourselves to be physically and emotionally present with
Yeah.
people.
Some,
And that's where the healing begins,
yeah.
is when we have that realization,
Yeah. And
you know, and the
I think
go
some
ahead.
of us numb to not be present because it hurts to be present.
Mm,
There's things
mhm.
that have happened or wounds or people
Yes.
or patterns that keep us from being disconnected. I know when we worked together, we used a personality communication profile that
Mm,
would help to distinguish, make sure you're on the right seat, on the right bus,
mhm,
and one of the languages that people spoke um, was one of the unique things about this profile is the very emotive, the heartfelt language could be turned off, and it could
mm,
show up as your last, when in
mhm,
reality it could be in your top, one of your top ones. But
mhm,
because of hurt, trauma, things like that, to cope, you turn off that part of you, that heart part of you, that feeling part of
mhm.
you, that present available part of you, because it's easier not to. And when we worked together, I was that was my number 7. That was my lowest one. And since I've
Mm.
been on this healing journey, now it is my number 3, because
Ah,
I had turned off that part
yeah,
of me to not feel. And so to perform and to be in control and to hustle felt better than to actually be truly vulnerable or present or available.
yeah, absolutely. I think that when we really look at availability and why it might be difficult for people to position themselves that way, I think you've got some great points there. I would probably name it in two. One is biologically, people are praised when they can multitask or they
Yep.
can do lots of different things. They can be the super mom or the super dad and be handling all of these different things, right? But when you multitask, you lose clarity, right? You lose presence and you definitely lose connection with those that are around you because you're just so busy doing, right?
Mm-hmm.
Spiritually, and I love this, scripture tells us, be still and know. Be still and know that I am God.
Mm-hmm.
And what's interesting to me is stillness comes first, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And so, most people aren't resisting God. They're just like noisy inside. There's so much going on.
Mm-hmm.
And, trying to hear God in a rushed life is like trying to hear a whisper in a crowded room full
Oh
of
yeah.
people, right?
Oh yeah.
The whisper didn't leave. It's just the room got really loud, right?
Mm-hmm.
But availability, when you can learn to become available and put that forth as a priority, then all of a sudden, all that noise is cleared.
Mm.
And you can actually shift into very meaningful, very impactful aspects of relationship. But it's so necessary for a person to heal.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
it really is. So.
Yeah, it's huge. What have you seen the benefits, the ROI on your stillness, the time where God's told you to slow down, or just becoming more available and present wherever you are? What have been some of the benefits to, um, why would somebody want to do it? What's the benefit to ourselves and to
Yeah. In
others?
fact, yeah, I mean, one of the things that I encourage people to do when they're exploring this is to take 3 or maybe 5 minutes and just find a quiet space
Mhm,
and just ask one question, and that is, God, what am I allowing in terms of busyness or whatever the aspects might be to keep me from being available? What is it that's getting in my way?
mhm,
And then be still and
mhm,
listen,
mhm,
right? And it is amazing the
mhm.
clarity that begins to come over people.
Yep.
It's a simple exercise. And just listening to it, you might think, okay,
Mhm,
oh, that sounds cute. But no, if you really do it and you really seek God and listen,
mhm,
be still in that moment, you're going to be amazed at the
mhm,
insights that you
mhm,
get. But what are some of you asked, what are some of the benefits of being available to taking the time to really work on this and that kind of thing? And I didn't realize everything I was missing
mhm,
from my wife when we would be in the same room, but I wasn't there.
mhm,
I mean, our relationship, our marriage grew better just simply because I was a lot more aware and a lot
mhm,
more intentional.
mhm,
And it takes the desire to really get ahead of those two aspects, the awareness and then the intentionality about it. But I also gave her permission that if I fell back into a habit
mhm,
to say, so I let her know I'm working on this. This is important to me. I want to grow in this. I want to grow in this because I want us to be growing together. I don't want us to just be roommates going through life together. I want us to actually have a very deep
mhm,
relationship with my kids. And it's just so fun connecting with them and and hearing about all of the great things that are going on in their lives. Lives
mhm,
aren't perfect, but
mhm,
when I say great things, what I mean is all that they're learning, all that they're experiencing, how they're showing up, and how they're realizing now
mhm.
they definitely need God on their side. That's for sure. In their
Amen.
weakness, God is made strong, right? And
Yes.
so it's seeing these light bulbs go off is so exciting. But when you're unavailable,
Yeah.
and so busy on the next task or the next thing you've got to accomplish or the next deal you've got to close or focused solely on the hurt that you've experienced and are not working through that, it creates a real distinct gap that I don't know, right? Life has never been as rich as it is now for me
Mhm. It's
because of
beautiful.
this.
It's
Yeah.
beautiful. I would love to know as a leader and as an employee, like what does it mean? How does it change the atmosphere for a leader to be available for their people?
It's a world of difference.
Mm,
Um, there are think about if you think about a coach, a teacher, a mentor, or someone who's had a significant impact in your life,
mhm.
and you think about, okay, what was it that made that so impactful?
Yeah.
It was their ability to connect with you, their ability to show care, their ability to get eyeball to eyeball, and even though there's 100 things going on in their life, right now, you have their full attention.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that presence communicates love, care, and that's what enables those those people that we remember that touched us so dearly.
Mhm.
That's the difference that they had. They were truly available. They cared. And in the workplace, if a boss is only focused on productivity, only focused on production and detail, and there's no connection, there's no true care there, then what happens is people feel like they're being treated like things.
Yeah.
And people need leadership from their leaders, they don't need to be managed from their leaders. You
Hmm.
manage things, you lead people, you
Hmm.
inspire people, you encourage people, you draw out the greatness out of people. But if we're doing that, then people will feel like things.
Yeah.
And when they begin to feel like things, then their level of engagement where they're working is going to drop. So
Yeah.
people choose how much of themselves they share wherever they go, whether it's work or at
Mhm.
home or whatnot. And when leaders are treating people in a way that recognizes how God made them, spirit, soul, body, truly treating them and loving them and caring about them,
Mhm.
their level of engagement rises. And so they're going to bring their full excitement and energy every day to
Mhm.
whatever that interaction is, whether it's at work or at home or wherever. But also, people choose how much they will not share of
Mhm.
themselves or their greatness when they feel like they're being treated like a thing. And
Yeah.
so I think it's just so important
So good.
in the workplace for leaders to be available to show that care for people.
Mhm.
And this is, some might think, oh, that's just a bunch of soft skill stuff or it's not
Mhm.
impactful. I will tell you, it is your superpower.
Absolutely.
It is a leader's superpower to be able to
Mhm.
truly show care. Now, that doesn't mean they can't uphold standards or be strong when they need to be, but it's done in a loving way. It's
Yeah.
done in an encouraging way. It's calling out the best of those people, the greatness that they
Yeah.
see in them.
Well, you have to really be able to see somebody to know what it is and pull it out of them. And when people feel seen and
Hmm.
known and loved, it's transformational to the highest degree. I mean, when I think about,
Absolutely.
when we have that moment where we're seen by God, when we were praying before this, and I prayed, about how when God left the 99 for the one, when Jesus talks about that,
Yeah. Yeah.
when the people in our sphere, when our kids feel seen and known, when our
Mm.
employees feel seen and known and loved, it's it's transformational because your confidence grows. You start to know what your place is, who you are, how you've been made. I think of the story in the Bible of when one of God's names is revealed as El Roy, the God who sees me. And
Hmm.
that's with Hagar in the wilderness when she was running and she has an encounter. And so when we can do that for the people in our sphere, and when we take time to slow down so that we can bring our true vulnerable self and our heart to the Lord and be seen by Him,
Yeah.
it changes us.
It's powerful. Yeah.
It's so powerful.
Can I share one thing that I
Yeah.
think that people can do at home, but it also could work
Mhm.
at work.
Yeah.
But one of the things that I've had a lot of fun with is just a simple exercise. When our kids are grown, but when our family does get together, we'll do this. We'll take our phones and put them in a basket at dinner time. Set them off to the side so
Mhm.
nobody has their phones. There's no digital devices while we're eating, that kind of thing, right? And once we're all seated, we'll select a person who will begin, and they'll look to the person to their right, and they'll say something that they are grateful for about that person. We call it an honor circle. And
Mhm.
we'll just go around the circle. You may have talked about this before on some of your
Good.
episodes, I don't know, but just goes around the circle. And it's less about what's being said, and it's more about the attention and the focus around what that individual is giving to the person sitting next to them.
Mhm. Mhm.
And at first, it's going to feel awkward,
Mhm.
but I encourage people to continue to do that. And it's just unbelievable
Yeah.
the dynamics that come out of that when people are demonstrating that level of care
Yeah. Yeah. And
and
it's
people just
twofold,
around the
right?
table.
It grows your capacity to see and to pull greatness and to see the positives, and it
Hmm.
builds that person up in their giftings and what they're doing right. And so it's a win, 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 win all the way around. I love that.
When I reflect back on the email that Morgan, my daughter,
Mhm.
sent me, the one that was so impactful. She wasn't asking me to do more.
Right.
I already felt like busy. She wasn't asking me to do more.
Mhm.
She just wanted me to be
Mhm.
there more, wanted me to be with her when I was with her more, the focus. So around the dinner table or taking some time just to make sure, and it doesn't have to be exorbitant amounts of
Mhm.
time. It can be just a few minutes of focused time and it goes a million miles.
Right. Quality over quantity.
A great place for parents to do that with young children is once the hustle and bustle of the day is done and you're putting the child to bed, just taking just a few minutes and speaking over the child, the greatness that you see in them, praying over them, spending some time talking with them. And it's majorly powerful in developing those self-esteem.
Mhm.
And similarly, when we're with adults and you just take some time and to pour into someone and share the greatness that you see into them, edify them, speak into them, it's it is I've used the word, I don't want to overuse it, but it is a superpower. It really is. When people can learn to leverage that,
Yeah.
you're truly allowing God to work through you and speak into other people the greatness that the seeds of greatness that He's planted inside of them. And it's hugely powerful.
It is. It
Yeah.
is. Well, David, I know people are going to want to know more, and I know you've got some resources. Could you just tell us briefly I know you've got your book and then you've got some resources and things
Mhm.
you've got going on your website. Can you share a little bit about that and where people can find you?
Yeah, absolutely. So I've written a book on availability. I mentioned at the earlier portion of the podcast, but it's called "There's No Ability Like Availability," and so that is a book that I don't know. It's really an invitation. You get to as you dive in and read that, you get to it's leadership fable, and you're invited in to walk along with this person who is the persona of I'm busy, this, that, and the other, and then all of a sudden has the realization around what availability can do. And it's a mentor that actually speaks that into him. And so it's a great book, I think so, at least,
Mhm. It is.
and would encourage you to look that up. It can be found on Amazon, but I guess the best place to find what we're doing is leadershipdominion.books.com. And that's a website where you'll be able to see the book, see a little bit about it, and decide if you'd like to dive into it. I've also created an app, um, a web app. It's actually a website that is for parents to connect deeper with their children. It's called Bedtime Questions. And what it does, you go on to there and it'll present you with a question to share with your child and help initiate that dialogue. What's nice about it is it's about the questions it poses are about things the most important things children need to be growing in.
Mhm.
Like, it could be a question around what are about a particular value,
Mhm.
or could be a particular or a question that gets their imagination going.
Mhm.
You know, one of the questions that I recently came across, I'm doing it with my granddaughter,
Mhm.
was if you could have a superpower, what would that superpower be,
Mhm.
and why would you want it? And she said, my superpower would be caring. It would
Mhm.
be caring about people and loving on others. I'm going,
Amen.
oh, that's so cool. But I
Amen.
would have
Yeah.
never heard her say that
Yeah.
unless I was prompting questions and having that time.
Mhm.
It also then tracks their answers. You can type them in, you can record them, whatever method you want to do, but it tracks those answers and then gives you insights as a parent or a grandparent into the personality, what
Wow.
that child naturally values. It gives you some things that help you as a parent to see what that greatness is.
Mhm.
And as I'm watching it just expand with my grandkids, I'm going, I would have missed that.
Mm,
That is so obvious, but I would have missed that aspect of them. And then I can start, it gives coaching tips on how to develop those. So it's
that's so
really neat.
cool.
So that's at bedtimequestions.com.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so those are two
Yeah.
tools, but I've got a whole series of books and things coming out, and I'm just excited about it.
And it's
And,
all such good stuff and needed stuff. And coming from time tested and a heart of somebody that I trust completely to share. And what a gift to have a parent resource like that and a grandparent resource and I guess you can even tweak those questions to even use with your employees and things like that. I'm sure they're so multifaceted that you could use them with. But even that concept of having these heart connects with the
yeah,
people that are important and taking advantage of the moments that matter
hmm
with our loved ones, those we love and those we lead. So, well, David, thank you so much for joining
Oh,
me here today.
a
It's been
pleasure.
so, so good. I'll make sure to put your resources and links in the show notes. And so you all, um, I hope this blessed you. I know it did. I mean, there's room for all of us to quiet, to slow down, to really take advantage of moments of letting God heal our heart, showing up for Him so we can show up truly, fully for other people that He's put in our path. And so, if you know somebody that could use this episode too, would you share it with them? And definitely take a look at David Stroud's resources for parents, for leaders. I know what you will be blessed. And so, my heart and hope is that you and I continue to get free, live full, and thank God. See y'all next time. Well, friends, thank you for joining us today on the Tiffany Joe Baker podcast, where we continue to get free, live full, and thank God. If you enjoyed our time together and are taking away a nugget that has inspired your soul and success, would you share this episode with a loved one who could use it too? And if you haven't already, take a moment to rate and review this podcast and help me help others fuel and fulfill their faith journeys. Now go do all the things God has called and created you to do with the grace and gifts God has given you.